Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our ILCA 5-day challenge. My name is your Queen Connectress, Miss Marnita Casa, and I am your humble hostess for this evening. Now, there is something that I always like to say, and that is we totally understand there are so many different things you can be doing with your time. My goodness, that nighttime is the right time for family and for preparation of the next day. Thank you, baby. So the fact that you guys decided to come on out and hear what we have to say, of course, that makes us so very happy. So again, thank each and every one of you for being here. And hello, you all that have been here with us many, many times before. You guys know that on the 5-day challenge, this is my best, my favorite time of the month. Why? Because we all get to come together. It's like having a family reunion and learn together, go over opportunities together, and more importantly, just exchange positive energy. So thank each and every one of you for being here. I see our VIPs are in here. Hello, babies. How are you? It's always so good to see you guys. Thank each and every one of you for being here. Now, family, let me tell you, this week is special. This isn't like all the other 5-day challenges that we've had before. Why? Because this week we are featuring women, queens, empresses of blockchain technology and of wealth. So this week you will be hearing from 5 beautiful ladies. Tonight we're going to hear from the esteemed Miss Melanie Davis, who is representing Chicago, Illinois. You're going to hear, hello, I see you, Queen. You're going to hear from Miss Samantha Studebaker. You're going to also hear from Miss Rita B. You will also be hearing from my sister, Lanu Langi. So when I tell you, you guys get ready. We're not just going to learn about blockchain and cryptocurrency. We're going to get a chance to hear from some inspirational women about their journey, about their background, and what they see for cryptocurrency in the future. So please get ready for a dynamic week. I know I'm ready for it. Very, very exciting. So let's go ahead and get this party started. I'm going to go ahead and start saying hello to my VIPs. My VIPs, you guys know the routine. As you come on in, please type your name and where you are from in the chat box. That way I get to tell everybody who is here on the VIP side with us. And if you have the opportunity, turn on those cameras. One of the best parts about us being on a Zoom call like this is that we get a chance to see all those faces and those wonderful smiles. Excuse me. The #1 queen of crypto is here. I'm talking about Miss Cheryl Ivey. Auntie, I saw you turn on your camera and she looks beautiful as always, representing the women. Thank you so very much for being here. I see all of our friends on YouTube. Hello, babies. How are you? As you guys come on in, please type your name and where you're from so I can shout you guys out too. All right, so let me go ahead and start saying hello to everybody. First up is Mr. Papa Leonard. Hi, Leonard. How are you, sweetheart? I see you driving. Please drive safe. Thank you so very much for being here with us tonight. Of course, the queen of the hour, her name is Miss Melanie Davis, is here with us this evening. Hello, queen. Woo, 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 woo. I can't wait to hear what you got to say. Let me tell you guys something. I don't have a lot of heroes or a lot of people I look up to, but Miss Melanie Davis is absolutely one of them. So pay attention when that queen is talking. I see Michael Aluko is in the house. Hello, Michael. How are you, sweetheart? Yeah, he's driving too. Please be safe. Thank you so very much for being here with us today. I see Miss Rita B is in the house. Hello, queen. You guys will be hearing from Miss Rita about her journey and why she feels cryptocurrency is the future of finance. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. You look beautiful tonight. Thank you so much for being here with us. I see we have Mr. Kenny Taylor. Hello, King. How are you? Mr. Kenny Taylor is here with us, and he is representing Los Angeles, California. Thank you so much for being here with us. I see Mr. Nathan Hansberger's here. Hi, Nathan. How are you, my friend? Nathan is actually one of our certified students. Nathan, thank you so very much for being here, and we are so very proud of what you have accomplished. Of course, Miss Samantha Studebaker's here. Hi, Samantha. Hello. Not only is Samantha one of our certified students, but she is also winning, absolutely winning in the River of Money group. So Miss Samantha, not only do I salute you, but I am very proud of your progress. Bravo, Queen. And of course, again, Auntie, you look absolutely beautiful tonight. Thank you so very much for being here. Mwah! And it is an honor having you here for our Ladies Week. Thank you so much for being here with us. I see we have Miss Carla Rigos with us. Hey, Carla, how are you, baby? Carla is representing St. Louis. There she is. I was wondering where you were. Mwah! Carla is representing St. Louis, Missouri. Thank you so very much for being here with us, Carla. It is always good to see you. Of course, Miss Jacqueline Briggs coming on in from St. Petersburg, Florida is here. Hi, Jacqueline. How are you, sweetheart? Thank you so very much for being here with us. It is always good to see you. Of course, the Queen of Canada is here. If you guys don't know who that is Miss Judy. Hi, Judy. How are you, baby? Thank you so much for being here. Of course, another queen, one that I highly respect, is here. Her name is Miss Sandy Lynn. Miss Sandy Lynn. Hello, Queen. How are you? Thank you so very much for being here. It is always good to see you, baby. We also have Miss Amy Hazel with us tonight. Hi, Amy. How are you? Miss Janelle Appling coming in from Colorado. We also have my angel, Miss Joyce Easley. The women are showing up this evening. Hello, Queen. How are you? Miss Doreen Buckner is here. And of course, the two young kings, the Ivy clan. I am talking about Mr. Christopher Ivey and Mr. Donovan Ivey is in the house this evening. To you two kings, mwah. Thank you guys so very much for being here. And we should all learn that if you have children, bring them in the room with you, because again, the information that is coming out of this session is necessary, especially for them. Okay, you guys, we're at the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and get our party started. Again, thank each and every one of you for joining us on our ILCA 5-day challenge. My name is your Queen Connectress, Miss Marnita Casa, and I am your humble hostess for this evening. Now, it is my honor to introduce you all to a man that for over 25 years dominated the direct sales industry. His cryptocurrency education is used by companies and universities worldwide. Now, for over 8 years, he dedicated his life to learning about blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, but he didn't just stop there. He decided to go out and share his information with the masses. And this was done by putting on fun and exciting Bitcoin boot camps nationwide at no cost. He has built wonderful platforms and wonderful communities like you see before you now. So without further ado, it is my honor to introduce you all to Mr. Brandon Ivey.
All right, all right, all right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Miss Casa, and thank you for all the work that you're putting in, taking time out of your schedule. She's a wife and a mother and her own businesswoman, and is always present for the ILCA community and hosting all of our events. So thank you for all of your hard work. And don't think that since your name is not on the marquee, sometime this week you will also be sharing your crypto story, because everybody knows it was I share was interesting years ago. My little cousin Marnita called saying, "What's this crypto stuff all about?" And seeing her go from not knowing what this is to what she does now is fantastic. And she's right. If you guys have family members, you definitely want them to get this information. As I stated when I learned about crypto and blockchain for the first time, that this is something that we cannot avoid. I remember telling my mother about it for the first time that I came was getting to this space, and she was asking questions, and I actually themed the way I create my crypto education around my mom. If my mom can understand it, then if she can understand it, then this is going to be good. It's not that my mom doesn't get things; she's just technologically challenged sometimes. Isn't that right with passwords, mom? Passwords, but. But I'm glad that my mom is here, and somebody put, yeah, 3 generations of Ivies is here tonight, and that pleases me because I'm doing this for legacy, not for where we are today, but the fact that this is the greatest economic shift in wealth in the history of mankind for the most amount of people. And if anybody in my family has to be the one to step up to do it, it's got to be me. If I'm the only one who sees it, then so be it. However, I'm not the only one. As you see, I have family members that are here as well. And my mom has been also practicing the dollar cost averaging when it comes to building her crypto portfolio for the last several years as well. So thank you, Mom, for taking time out of your schedule for showing up for Ladies' Night. And that's what tonight is. And I'm going to stop talking and jump on into this because we don't have a lot of time tonight. And I want to bring up a woman that I have a lot of respect for. This woman I met her back in 2018 on the very first Bitcoin boot camp this is way before ILCA and three course crypto. It was a company called Cryptogenics that asked me to build out crypto educational material for them. Sandy shaking her head because Sandy was there at that meeting. So it was in Chicago, 2018. I flew out there and we did a Bitcoin boot camp on a Saturday, and we didn't charge anybody. The community was able to come out and hear for an afternoon. And Melanie's been following this information and learning ever since to the point now she is one of our ILCA certified members. And I asked if she can come on for this Ladies Week to share her story on why she got into crypto, why she feels that education is so important, and where this is going into the future and what ILCA has even given for her. So without further ado, let me turn it on over to Miss Melanie Davis.
Good evening. Good evening. Man, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. You know what? I am so awesomely excited to know that we've got these families, your family here, and I wish I could have gotten my daughter on, but she had some things going that she really wanted to. But she came to our ILCA event in Chicago when Brandon just recently came here. So I'm so happy. And it's been years since I've been trying to get my family to really get involved, and seeing that they're finally watching, they're seeing the results of what I've been doing. So I'll tell my story real quick. I'm not a long-winded person, but I was honored, first of all, to have Mr. Ivey invite me to do this, because for a gentleman who has put so much effort, dedication, time away from his family, day in and day out, talking with us, teaching us, telling us what to do and what not to do. And it has been just watching his humbleness and what he is doing for the community and beyond with all of these crypto courses just amazes me. And so I've always thought about his wife and the family and the time he's taken away from them, but he's also bringing so much back to his family in the same time. So keep that in mind. He's doing some things for the whole community, the world, and his family. So I'm excited. My background, I put on my notes my family legacy, my why. My why is all about my two kids that are here and my, just my family overall. I've had two divorces over the years. And when you have two divorces, what happens? You kind of have to step up a little bit and make sure you have everything you need for you and your children. And so that made me hungry for success. And, I've had many years, I'd have to say 30 plus years of experience in direct sales and MLMs. If any MLM you can think about, I've probably been a part of it all the way back from the beginning. I don't want to name any of those on this public venue, but yeah, 30 plus years doing direct sales and MLMs. And many of them are still around. Me, I've had some success in them, but most not. Usually, a lot of those were the people at the top or people who came in first that got paid. But that didn't stop me. And, they required a lot of recruiting and things like that. But never quitting, the search continued because I had to remember my why. I had to keep my mind open. An open mind, can soak up some things. And I was learning a lot. So you got to look out for those opportunities. So as Brandon said, back in 2018, there was a shift in the atmosphere for me, for sure. A good friend of mine and her husband invited me out, as Brandon said, And Dr. Ken Lewis, some of you may have heard of Dr. Ken Lewis, one of the icons in the business world here in Chicago and beyond. They told me to come on out to that Bitcoin boot camp, and Brandon was speaking, and I was floored. I mean, I was actually helping at the front, handing Sandy and Wanda at the front desk, and I heard him talk about blockchain technology, and some words just caught my ear. And I had to step back away from the registration and kind of lean into the room and listen a little bit more. And there was something he said that caught my ear, and he continues to say it every time we're on these types of calls. He said that blockchain technology will disrupt every industry, whether you like it or not. Believe it or not, I'm not going to take his thunder, but yeah, I heard that, and that stuck with me forever. So after that, I started keeping my ears and my eyes open, and Forex trading, foreign exchange trading came into my life around that same time. And I started learning how to trade. And it was an interesting experience. Trust me, he always says, keep emotions out of it. I'm a very emotional person, extremely emotional. So that was difficult for me, but I did it anyway. I had to get up at 2 in the morning for the Asian markets. Okay, so we do the day trading, and then we come back 2 a.m. in the morning and do the Asian markets. And yeah, there were some wins, there were some losses, but this is a great trading is a great skill that you need to learn, that you should have. But I preferred more passive related type projects. I really wanted something that I could sink my teeth into and really let my money work for me. I like it when my money's working while I sleep. And down the road, we came across something for your sleep. While you're sleeping, you're getting paid, but you're also getting paid for your sleep. That's another thing we'll talk about another time. But back and then in 2019, well, no, actually, we learned at that 2018 event about green mining. Green mining rigs were the talk of the time. And that was a game changer with millions of tokens that were made within our community. Now, that's not called rigs, now they're called node software. And after about 4 years of green mining, many of us in the community were able to profit from that. Some did, some didn't. But if you had the green mining rigs and they sent it over to Node Software, you made some money. And there were certain people who I know that bought their kids cars and all types of things. And I actually did some nice things too. How about paying for your house, paying for your car, all of those things. And I was actually retired from my job as well before I actually got involved, but it just helped to have that type of income coming in for something that was passive. But so then the crypto platforms I started to get more involved in, some of them required recruiting, and some of them actually promised um, a percentage, of return, or they just stole your money out of the pot. One example that I know Brandon always talks about is this couple that actually were in a really good company that we thought had a great platform, but all of a sudden we couldn't access our money. Why couldn't we access our money? Well, it appears that the husband had disappeared and took all of the money. Yeah. So that was one example of many things that continue to happen. People they get taken, unfortunately, but don't give up. Stick and stay. Now, the crypto talks, I have to say, he's always been doing it. Mr. Ivey has been in crypto talks since, I believe, 2019. And I was on those crypto talks, daily crypto talks, valuable education. That made a huge difference for me. He taught how to read the charts, how to understand crypto markets, when, where, and how to actually buy the crypto. Discussions about cryptos on the rise has been key for many who decided to take action here within our community. So, and then another important thing was how to secure that crypto. Now, it's one thing to make the money, but you've got to know how to keep it, how to secure it. I'll give you a perfect example of something that happened to me. I was in a platform that I'm still on right to this day, and they teach you a second level of security, which he'll talk about probably in another training, but 2FA, okay? 2FA is a way to continue to keep your crypto secure. And I thought my crypto was secure, and all of a sudden I went back into the website and my 2FA was off. So I called support and I told them, I need help in getting my 2FA back on. And support said, I'll help you, I'll help you. And it took me like 2 or 3 days and it was still not on. And then I got busy doing some other things. And I never went back to check daily to see what was happening with my crypto that was over there. Millions of tokens we're talking about. And I went back a week later, they were gone. The 2FA was off, still off, and my million of tokens were gone. I was hurt, emotional. I called Jacqueline Briggs, I'm sure is on this as well. I called her and I cried. But you have to remember, you have to be in charge of what you have. You have to pay attention to what you have. But that 2FA is for you. So if you don't watch it and you don't keep it on, okay, that can happen to anyone. But other things he talked about in those crypto talks is geopolitics and what's going on in the world. That is so important because what's happening right now in the world, we all need to know how that's going to affect us in our portfolios. So that is key to me. And then we came to passive things like a move quest. I can mention it because he talks about it on the public all the time. So move quest. And then we're talking about the river of money. Okay. We're talking move quest is you get healthier, but yet you're earning at the same time. As you move, you get healthier. I got involved in that. And then I'm involved with the River of Money, which is another, many vehicles for passive income with no recruiting. So I'm super excited about the things that Mr. Ivey and the community is bringing to us. We have an awesome community. I mean, the men in our community, women, we're here, we are mighty, but those men, they have been contributing the utmost. And I'd have to mention a few names. I'm not going to mention everybody because there's so many, but Leonard, thank you for the key information you gave us in the ILCA event that has to do with AI, that is helping all of us make the music, do some fun things with AI. Oh, AI is, I'm having so much fun and everybody knows it. And then we're talking CJ. CJ, we're talking Kenny Taylor. These men are awesome. But our leader, Mr. Ivey, thank you for all you do. All I can say is what I find is the major key to my success here in ILCA. We all need to think about, as I said earlier, to stick and stay plugged in. Stay plugged in, get on those calls. Many of the inner circle crypto talks, you've got to get on and listen because you can pick up so many things. I see Mr. Ivey is still growing. He's still learning. So if he can still learn after all these years, there's no reason that I can't. Training is so important. Education is key. Education is everything. And I want to thank you, Mr. Ivey, for your education and your humbleness. Thank you so much. That's all I have to.
Thank you, Melanie's. Give it up for Melanie sharing her story. She was one of the originals that came out back in 2018. In fact, if any of you guys were also at that event, type me in the chat box. I think we have several: Sandy Lynn, Jacqueline, No, you guys were there. I think Gina Muhammad might have been at a future one because I've been to Chicago multiple times. But thank you for sharing that information because there's people out there that need to hear that and what you said about ILCA and understand that ILCA is not Brandon Ivey. ILCA is the community. We learn from the community as well. In fact, I just got in the mail this right here. I showed it in our crypto talk a new what is this? A Visa Fold crypto card. And who did I hear this from? Melanie. So our community is always bringing things to the table for all of us as well. So thank you for sharing, Melanie. And all week we're going to have another special guest. Tomorrow night is Samantha. Samantha will be speaking tomorrow night, sharing her story, and she's got a tremendous story. And all the rest of the ladies. So you know the layout. On Wednesday night will be Rita. Thursday, Catherine, and Friday, Lanu. Anybody that was in Vegas with us, you had a chance to meet Lanu. She had her whole family out there, her brother, her children at the Blockchain Expo in Vegas a couple months ago. So let's jump on into our lesson for tonight, blockchain technology. And I've got 30 minutes to break this down for you. So let me go ahead and share screen. I want advanced. No, screen two. There we go. Okay. If you can, I think I'm sharing the wrong screen. Screen two. There we go. All right. So you can see my screen now. If you guys can see the right screen, type it in the chat box, or if you're seeing my entire screen. There we go. I see it on YouTube. Okay, but why is it doing this for me? Technology has been really messing up for us all day. It's been acting real weird. But you guys see the screen. Okay, but it's not coming up. I'm gonna have to look at this screen this way. All right, I'll do it this way. So we're gonna be talking about what is the blockchain. And a lot of people get confused between Bitcoin and blockchain. And they think it's the same thing, and it's not. Blockchain is the underlying technology that's allowing the entire, you hear the word digital world come true. Without blockchain technology, this would not be possible. It is literally the next evolution of the internet. And I think that we can agree that the internet revolutionized and changed the world. Could we live without the internet today? You know, maybe my generation and above, we remember what life was like without the internet. However, even now, Wi-Fi goes down for 5 minutes and you're freaking out. Blockchain technology is bigger than the internet. So the scientific term for this is, what is the blockchain? A blockchain is a tamper-proof encrypted database secured by cryptography, which is the study of encryption that acts as an accounting ledger keeping track of digital assets. Instead of being maintained by a single server like traditional databases, blockchains are decentralized. And that's one word you're going to learn a lot, the difference between centralized and decentralized. So decentralized and maintained by a distributed network of computers around the world. This database tracks every Bitcoin in the network and each transaction since the very first Bitcoin. You could think of Bitcoin as an accounting system. Through the blockchain, it is a way of recording transactions and value digitally in an open and distributed self-clearing ledger. Now, beginners to cryptocurrency sometimes hear the word blockchain and think that the term blockchain is synonymous with Bitcoin. However, this would be like saying that smartphone technology and Apple have the same meaning. The relationship between Bitcoin and blockchain is like the relationship between Facebook and the internet. Bitcoin is based on blockchain technology and could not exist without blockchain. Blockchain technology preceded Bitcoin, and blockchain technology could exist without Bitcoin. Just like Facebook is on the internet, Bitcoin is on the blockchain. Facebook cannot work without the internet. Bitcoin couldn't work without its blockchain. A way I broke it down to my dad. I said, Dad, he loves trains. I said, blockchain is the railroad track. Bitcoin is the train that rides on top of it. You take away the track, and the train cannot go anywhere. Now let's get another visual image in your minds. So picture this, that there is a digital block that's created on the internet. Inside that block is data. For cryptocurrencies, text data of a list of transactions is inside of each block. For NFTs, text data detailing ownership of digital assets is inside of each block. And those of you in the inner circle, you know that NFTs is another word for the tokenization of assets. And type into the chat box. Let's see who's been paying attention. Type into the chat box which company is trying to lead the way for tokenization assets in the world. Let's see who's paying attention. Oh, you all are getting it. BlackRock. BlackRock is. Now, here's another question. How much money is on the move? Type that in the chat box. How much money are we talking? $867,000? 867 million? 867 billion? No. 867 trillion, which is why I say that cryptocurrency represents the greatest economic shift in wealth in the history of mankind. Now, every time a new block is created, it is linked and chained back to the previous block. Now, another way to visualize this is like a picture. Picture block as a page in a book. The data inside each block are the words on the page, and the chain is the book's spine that holds all the pages together. There are various different cryptocurrencies, each with its own blockchain. So, unlike popular belief, there is no just one blockchain for them all, like one ring that rules them all. No. Every coin has its own blockchain. There's a difference between coins and tokens, and we cover that in our education. You got to know the difference. So every blockchain is different. For the blockchain of cryptocurrencies, the data inside each block is a detailed record of transactions involving that specific crypto. Basically, each block is one page in a digital ledger. If you are not familiar with a ledger, every time you go to the store, every time you purchase something, where is the proof or evidence of that purchase? What is it called? It's called a receipt. Or if you're doing it straight from your bank account, it's in your transactions if you want to look at your bank statements. That is a ledger. So the blockchain is simply a record-keeping device. So how are new blocks added to the chain? Well, in order to add a new block to a chain, a complex math equation must be solved. For Bitcoin's blockchain, basically somebody needs to guess a number between 1 and 4 billion in order to add a block to the blockchain. This requires a vast amount of computing power. So whenever you hear, wow, Bitcoin takes up a lot of energy, there's that word again, energy. Then that word just popped up in crypto talk earlier this week. What did Elon Musk say Bitcoin is? He said it's not money, it's energy. So this requires a vast amount of computing power as well as some time. So for Bitcoin's blockchain, it takes around about 10 minutes for each block to fill up with information and then close. Once it closes, that then releases Bitcoin to the miners. So Bitcoin is not created out of thin air. Bitcoin is proof of work. Something must be done for Bitcoin to be released, and that Bitcoin has value based on the work that was accomplished. Unlike fiat money, the government can just print more money whenever they want. 40% of all cash in circulation right now has been printed since COVID. Think about that. If you add more money to circulation, what happens to the value of the money you already had? Does $20 at the grocery store today buy you what $20 did 10 years ago? 20 years ago? I remember my parents were able to make money stretch for a week $20 or so. Now that's nothing. And it's not your fault, it's inflation because it's not backed by anything. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Now, the individual or group who guesses the correct number creates the new block and is awarded 3.125 Bitcoins. This process is called mining, but it really should be called something like creating a new block by guessing the correct number. So when you hear the word mining in your brain and you hear people say, we're mining for Bitcoin, I want you to think of when you were in school and you heard about the gold rush for the first time. How did people get gold? They had to mine for it. They had to physically dig in the ground for it. Well, this is a digital form of mining. Same process, you're just doing it digitally. The fact that it is so difficult to add a new block, just like when all those prospectors went out there for the gold rush, did everybody find gold? No, not everybody. Why? Because it was difficult. And that's why it's so precious. So the fact that it is so difficult to add a new block makes it so that no one organization can ever add too many blocks in a row. Somebody asked me, well, Brandon, if BlackRock's in it, doesn't that mean BlackRock's going to be able to mine all the Bitcoin? No. BlackRock is buying up all the Bitcoin. All right. But they can never mine all the Bitcoin. No one person or entity can have that type of monopoly, which is, again, why blockchain is the freedom. So now we know what a blockchain is, how blocks are created, and what each block is filled with, which is a digital ledger of transactions. To understand the significance of blockchain technology, we must go back in time and look at ledgers and their function. So a ledger is simply a documented record of transactions. Every time you buy something, your receipt in your hand is a ledger. Who stores that ledger? The banks do. A blockchain is a ledger. So a blockchain is a documented record of transactions. But who keeps that record? One entity like the bank? No. Everybody does. The internet does. So since the dawn of civilization, people have been trading things with one another. Humanity wouldn't exist if it weren't for the fact that humans trade with one another. Even before the invention of currency, tribes in early civilizations would often keep a record of who traded what with who. Dating as far back as 5000 BC in Mesopotamia, people used clay tablets as primitive ledgers to record transactions of crops and animals, or the barter system. I first learned about bartering from my grandpa, my mother's father, who would take us to the Compton swap meet. He never paid full price for nothing. He believed that that was wrong. He always found a deal some kind of way. Or if you're in a neighborhood and you may not have that much money, if somebody's car broke down, somebody else in the neighborhood had the skills to fix your car. And you might have the skills to fix their roof leak. My grandmother grew vegetables and fruit in her backyard. Everybody had a different skill set and you traded with one another. Well, ledgers such as these would keep track of these transactions and even any debts that are owed. So it was important that they were kept in a safe place to avoid tampering or damage. Ledgers were kept safe inside of guarded temples and palaces, the seeds of the first bank. Who loves Game of Thrones? Who's the most powerful entity in the Game of Thrones universe? Is it the actual king or queen in King's Landing? No, it's the Iron Bank. Why? Because they're the ones that keep track of all the transactions and they're holding the money. Is the Iron Bank centralized or decentralized? Type that in the chat box. Later, banks took over the role of calculating and maintaining ledgers. Why? Because you couldn't trust a king or a queen or just one small tiny group of wealthy men that might have a bias about anything. It's not fair. So the banks came and we could trust the banks a little bit more because it's an organization and not one individual, unless you're Jamie Dimon. So the banks kept track of transactions as well as debts owed and kept these records ledgers safe. Except at this point, People were using currency and no longer bartering with crops, animals, or other goods. Enter the modern banking system. For centuries, people have trusted banks to keep and maintain ledgers. Records people agree with the information in the bank's ledgers and trust that that information is safe from tampering or damage. Because everyone agrees with the information in the bank's records, banks are often used as an intermediary for transactions between two parties. When you swipe your debit card at the grocery store and the point of sale terminal states that that transaction has gone through, the grocery store trusts that you've paid. The grocery store trusts your bank's records. Both parties involved in a transaction trust that the records of the bank are accurate. If the bank says the transfer has successfully been completed, then the buyer and the seller can both trust and agree that the money has in fact gone through. The pros and cons of using banks and their ledgers. Well, banks add a level of trust and security to transactions. This is why banks have been around for hundreds of years. The downside to this is that banks and their governments have the power to monitor and control people's money, as well as put their hands in people's pockets with fees, especially when transferring money international and or converting fiat currencies. So the issue is for centuries, we have been trusting banks to keep records of who owns and owes what. But at the same time, we've been sacrificing some of our privacy, independence, and percentages of our wealth in fees. Isn't that right? The banks charge you for the privilege of holding your money. They charge you for taking your money. They charge you for withdrawing your money. They charge you a late fee. They charge you an overdraft fee. They're making a whole lot of money off of your money and not sharing it with you. What if there was a better way? What if there was some form of modern technology that could help us get the best of both worlds? What if we could have security and trust while at the same time also have a financial privacy and autonomy? We would need a secure ledger that everyone could trust, no matter your religion, your politics, whatever you believe, and most importantly, how you feel. Doesn't matter. If we all had a system that we all could trust and agree on, that can't be controlled, interfered with, or manipulated by any person or institution, we have freedom. So enter blockchain technology. Blockchains are distributed and publicly accessible. So it's not just the elite that has access to it. Everybody does. A blockchain is a digital ledger, but it is a ledger that everybody has access to, yet nobody can tamper with or control. Historically, ledgers and records have been centralized, locked up, and stored by one institution that has access and control. For cryptocurrencies, the entire ledger is out in the open and accessible to everybody. The only thing is, for those who say, well, I don't want my information out there to the public, it's also anonymous. When you look at the Bitcoin blockchain, you will notice that you don't see the names, email addresses, or any information about the sender and receiver. All you see are transaction hashes and wallet addresses. It is almost impossible to determine someone's identity based on these strings of random letters and numbers. This is the paradox of Bitcoin. Everybody can see all of the transactions, but nobody can see who is doing the transactions. Blockchains are decentralized. Banks are centralized. Blockchain decentralized. For almost every major crypto, nobody owns or controls the ledger of the blockchain. And the blockchain is available for anyone in the world to see, no matter where they are. Having a decentralized ledger plus the inherent security of a blockchain eliminates the need for an institution, bank, or government to be the middleman. Having a transparent distributed ledger means that crypto is open to everybody on the planet. An entire 31% of adults in the world do not have access to a bank account. But if they have access to an internet connection, then they can access cryptocurrencies. Blocks require majority agreement to be valid. So it's a democracy. What makes a blockchain so secure is the fact that it is distributed. There are multiple live versions of each blockchain. If somebody is able to tamper with even one block, on his or her live version of the blockchain, then everyone else will instantly see that it doesn't match up with the other live versions and it will be discarded. As long as more than 50% of the live blockchain versions or nodes, as you heard Melanie talk about nodes, agree on something, the versions that are different are identified as false and ignored. This all happens very quickly. Now, what makes it so secure is that they're also immutable. Every 10 minutes, a new block is created on the Bitcoin blockchain. This block is filled with data of recent Bitcoin transactions. The data in the block shows a list of wallet addresses that have sent Bitcoin to other wallet addresses, as well as the amount of Bitcoin sent. Once the block has been mined and the data is written inside, the block is closed and becomes added to the end of the blockchain. At that point, it is almost impossible to edit, modify, or remove. It's like writing in wet cement. And once the cement hardens, the information written will be there forever. The block is basically immutable. Is it possible to hack the blockchain? If one individual or organization were able to gain control of 51% of the computing power of a blockchain, then they would be able to double spend their coins. That means they could spend their coins, delete that transaction, and then spend the same coins again. To mount a successful 51% attack on a large cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin would require an astronomical amount of computing power, costing billions or tens of billions of dollars. So, is there anyone out there that is willing to spend tens of billions of dollars just to hack one block, which is only worth a little less than $400,000? Would that make any sense? And then it would be caught and eliminated almost instantly. So there's only one person on the planet who might be crazy enough to attempt it, and that's Elon Musk. There are estimated to be over 1 million Bitcoin miners in the world today. Somebody would need to generate the computing power of over 1 million other miners to be able to temporarily tamper with the creation of one Bitcoin block. A 51% attack on Bitcoin would be outlandishly expensive. Because blockchain technology is by nature secure, anonymous, immutable, and decentralized, is being eyed for other applications beyond only cryptocurrency. Like, what is one of the biggest points of division in America right now? Can we trust the elections? What if we put the elections on the blockchain? Hmm. There would be no claims of illegals are voting, or dead people are voting, or people are voting more than once in multiple districts. It would be 100% fair. Unfortunately, and even though I say that blockchain technology will disrupt every industry on the planet, and it will, voting will be one of the last things that will be implemented using blockchain technology because both parties like having the independence and autonomous of themselves. Using a blockchain to keep track of medical data. This is revolutionary, and I wish I had time to go into detail on each of these. I already have lessons in our courses that cover all of this, so I'm just giving you some of these industries. Medical data, groundbreaking. Using a blockchain to keep track of the supply chain of food or other products. Next time you go to the store, the grocery store, you pick up a piece of fruit, you will be able to know exactly when and where it was planted, when it was picked, how long has it been en route to get to the store in your hands. And you'll be able to trust it and not worry about some mislabeling on any of your items in the store. Using a blockchain to store authentic pieces of digital arts. This is so underrated with this. I wrote this in 2018. I need to update this now. I need to put using a blockchain to be able to implement tokenized assets in the world. Talking about NFTs, people only think of maybe digital images, digital pictures, games. Oh, it is so much bigger than that. Using a blockchain to store personal identification information. This is also huge. We're walking around, somebody pulls you up, whether it is immigration or ICE. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's your papers? Do you have your papers? You have everything stored on the blockchain. That is also revolutionary. Using a blockchain to store important deeds, such as for land or a home. This is another point of contention. This is huge, especially when you're fighting over who owns what. Legitimately. Huge, huge. Now, as a disclaimer, this information is intended for educational and training purposes only and should not be construed as investment advice. As with all financial decisions, you should contact your licensed financial advisor before investing in any financial instrument. So I had to give a modified version of that tonight, but I hope that is enough information for you to have a basic understanding of just what blockchain technology is, why it's so important, and how it's going to revolutionize the world. Let me see if I can break this down even one little sentence here. The internet revolutionized the world because we were able to transfer instantly, share information and data. But if I shared something with somebody else on the internet, we both have a copy of the same thing. We didn't share ownership. We both share the same thing. And we're using centralized platforms like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Google and X and all the others, where all the pictures and images that you're uploading, you don't own it anymore. The platform that you're uploading it does. And then what do they do with our data? Blockchain, for the first time ever, is now transferring ownership from one person to another. So if I send a file digitally, it's no longer in my possession and it's in the other person's possession. The internet nerds, well, not the nerds, just the computer community has been trying to figure this out for 70 years. And it's here now. And now it moves to decentralization, which means whatever you put up on the internet, you own. You control it. It can be tracked and coded to you. You control your data now, not some centralized force. So that's another way to look at this in a nutshell. So tomorrow night, we're going to come back and we're going to be covering what is cryptocurrency. And I'm going to take a little bit more time on that one. I have a hard stop at the top of the hour. But what we're going to do now is we're going to switch gears and we're going to take, if Miss Casa, if we can do 2 questions. I'm going to leave the Zoom open. The Zoom open for YouTube. We're going to take 2 questions if anybody has any questions or comments, and then we'll dismiss for the night, and we will be back tomorrow night at the same time to cover what is cryptocurrencies, and we'll hear from Samantha sharing her story tomorrow night. So, Miss Casa, back on over to you. Well, you're
Okay.
muted. There you go.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect. So this is actually my favorite time of the session. Why? Because we get a chance to talk and ask questions. So with that being said, there's only 3 things that we ask. The first one is, please do not unmute your mic until you are called upon. The second one is, we do ask for 2 questions. And there's no time for more tonight. And the third one is just 2 questions. And the third one is, there are no silly questions. So if you guys have any questions or if you have anything on your mind, please raise your hand and I will call on you.
We've been doing this for so long, everybody's getting it now.
Our community is educated. Okay, so back to you, Mr.
Well,
Ivey.
does anybody have any question for Melanie at all? You can raise your hand. Anyone has any questions for Melanie? Melanie, is there anything you'd like to share before we go ahead and dismiss? Go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, guys, I just wanted to highlight what came in my mail that she mentioned. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I've got my
Bring it below you, right in front of you, because so it's not your blue screen's not blocking it out. No, it's still there. You go, kind of. Move it on now. Move it in front of your face and move it down.
It's the ILCA certification I received from Mr. Ivey and Marnita. So I was super excited to receive that in the mail. ILCA certificate, crypto certified, I am. So I'm waiting for a bunch more people from our inner circle to get certified. Come on, guys, we can do this.
All right. Thank you, Melanie. And yeah, we've got a maybe five. Rita was the first one to be
Yes.
ILCA certified. She will be speaking on Wednesday to share her story. But yeah, you guys should have got your certification, little diplomas in the mail already. And make sure once you get certified, we're going to be having a big event in the Inland Empire, March of next year. March 13th, that's the weekend that we're planning for. And any of you that are certified, we're going to have a little ceremony for you in front of the room, in front of everybody, so that you're going to be there. All right, back to you, Miss Casa.
Okay, real quick, I just want you guys to know that if you are attending the March event on March 14th, please know that I will be wearing a tiara because my birthday's on March 16th. Okay, I just wanted to throw that out there so you guys know. Okay, back to you, Mr.
She's going to be running around like a little princess. It's going to be funny. We're going to be celebrating a lot. My dad's birthday is around that time too, and my parents will be celebrating a month before that their 50th wedding anniversary. 50 years. So yeah, I'm going to do something big about that at that event and acknowledge them. My father will also be speaking at that event too. So you guys will be able to meet my dad. So, all right, everybody, I'm out of time. Thank you for being here tonight and participating. Those of you on Zoom with us, the VIP members, I'll see you tomorrow morning. We'll see what we're going to find in the Inner Circle Crypto Talk, and then we'll be back at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific tomorrow night. Mom, I hope I see you again tomorrow night as well to get this information and plug it in and hear from all of these wonderful women that are making it happen in our community. So, congratulations, everybody. Have a good night, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye bye.